Welcome to Beyond Blessings. I am Pastor Barb. We are bringing hope to the hopeless by using real people with real testimonies to encourage and empower those in need. If the Lord has done it for someone already, He is willing and ready and able to do it for you as well. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we will be talking about some mental health issues today. Talking about mental health in the church is a very sensitive subject. You are judged. People feel broken. There's a taboo that you do not trust God, or you're not trusting God if something you have to go to the doctor and get medicine or whatever the case may be. And we want you to know that we believe that that is all a lie. Luke was a doctor. The Lord gave the doctors wisdom to use medication to help people. And we are going to talk to one of our lay pastors today about one of her struggles with postpartum depression. And that would be our Pastor Tami Schoenborn. Welcome, Pastor Tami.
Hi, Pastor Barb.
How are you?
Good. How are
Good.
you?
I'm excited to hear about your testimony, so that I know when you spoke in church that a lot of women were touched. I could hear them crying, and I could hear people saying, no one ever talks about this. Yeah. So you brought an awareness to a bunch of women who were unable to have a voice for so long. So thank you for that. And we're going to try to do that for even a bigger group of people. So when did you know that something, first of all, postpartum depression, tell us, what is it?
Typically, postpartum depression is after you have a baby. There's something called the baby blues, and that's typically 3 months after. A lot of women have it, and that's all it is. It's the first 3 months, you're just situating life. You're getting used to having a baby. Your body's changing. You're hormonally, you're just all over the place. But that kind of goes away by 3 months. It becomes postpartum depression technically after it lasts over the 3 months.
Okay.
And by the time I went and got help, my OB wouldn't even see me because it was not within the 3 months. I had to go to my regular doctor.
Oh, wow. Okay. So when did you know? When did you realize something may possibly be wrong?
I felt like something was off for a long time. Like I knew it was baby blues. I definitely knew I had that. And then I just felt like my hormones were just like all out of like all over the place, which is part of the biggest issues with postpartum depression is just your hormones are everywhere, and it takes up to a year to or more for some women to even normalize those after a baby. Like it depends on if you're breastfeeding or not and stuff like that. So it's like chemically you can't even control that. So I felt already like I was crawling out of my skin. I felt like um I just could not like rebalance myself. And I was also pumping. So I ended up going back to school 3 months in, and I had to pump on my lunch break and my prep. And so I literally I felt like I was chained to doing that because I was trying to care for my baby and do the best I could. I couldn't breastfeed her. So that was the second best thing. So I was already feeling some way about not being able to do that. And then I was feeling some way because I was like grieving the birth I had because I wanted a natural birth. We ended up having a C-section. It was like a really horrible experience in that sense. So I was like grieving all of these things. Like I thought I was not going to be a good mom because I couldn't give her everything that I read about and what social media told me to be and this person told me to be and that person told me to be and a natural mom and this and like all of I guess society's expectations on me. And so I was like going crazy. So I ended up going back. She was born in December. I went back to the worship team by Easter. I went back to work by Easter. I'm the school state tester person. So I set that all up once I got back. So that like made me go crazy. I'll never forget, me and Pastor Greg were leading worship, and he's like, when I change my guitar, you just play in the middle. You play so that I can change my guitar. And he did it. And I knew I was supposed to do something. And I just stared at him and I left him hanging. And I was just like staring. Like I had like 20 million things running through my mind. I don't even think I like realized like I was in worship. And afterwards he was like, Tami, are you okay? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know. I don't know what I did. He's like, you've never done that in like the 15 years we've ever played together.
And typically, I know you personally,
Yeah.
you are usually all together. You have
Yes.
everything all together. You get
Yes.
everything done. You are in control. You
Yeah.
have everything I's dotted, T's crossed.
Yeah.
So this was physically something that you could not
Even
change.
control.
You
Yeah.
could not. This was something that changed in your body.
Yeah. Yeah. And I felt like I was losing my mind. And I know a lot of women feel like that. And it's like you're trying to hold it all together. You're trying to be the best you can be for the baby and try to take care of yourself and your house and your husband. And then I was going to work, and so
And the worship team.
and the worship team. And so everything was going on at once. I could not hold anything. I felt like I was trying to grab sand with like a hook and try to fill a bucket. Like, that's how I felt. I just could not fill anything up correctly. So then as time passed by, it was like June, and like I shared in my testimony when I was speaking, Pastor Greg called me and asked me some questions. He's like, do you think you have postpartum? And I'm like, no, because to me, even though I know people that have depression and stuff like that, I know you can be it's like a functioning alcoholic. You can be a functioning depressed person. You can get up, you can go to work, you can be successful, come home, blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't mean your mind is not right. That doesn't mean you're not struggling. You're barely making it and you're hanging by a thread. I have people really close to me that are going through that. So I get it. I know how they can function like that, but I never thought I'd be the one doing that because I never experienced it.
So did that make you feel unworthy of things? Of how we are told, God's going to take care of it. You give it to God and he will. And what happens when he doesn't? How did you
Right.
deal with that?
Well, in that same phone call, Pastor Greg he just was like, you know how he is.
Yes.
I have a couple questions I'm going to ask you. Not telling me what the questions were out of. And so he's asking me this. Do you feel this? Do you feel this? Are you doing this? I answered yes to all of them. And he goes, I just read you a postpartum depression questionnaire. And I cried. I was at school, of course, on my prep, probably pumping. And I cried. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I said, no, I have an answer. Because I really felt like I was telling Ryan every day, I'm like, I feel like I'm going crazy. And so it was like, oh my God, is this an answer to something, to my prayers? Like, is this like real? So I did, and then I talked to Pastor Tony, I talked to you, and you guys encouraged me to go see the doctor, and I did. And I answered yes to everything on their questionnaire. And even at Charlotte's doctors, they always ask the mom like the first 6 months. So I have a questionnaire for myself at her pediatricians, and they're like, yeah, we think you need to go see somebody.
So you came you went to our lead pastor, Pastor Tony,
Yeah.
and me before you went to the doctor?
Yeah.
Because did you feel like you needed that extra backing, or it's okay from the church? You know how we can.
Like, it was because I've never been on medication before for that. I've never dealt with this before. And I know, like, in conversation with you and Pastor, like, you guys have either dealt with people or dealt with some of these things yourselves in different ways. So I was seeking, like, permission. Okay. Like, is this okay?
Yeah.
Because, in church, I grew up in a Russian Baptist church. Nobody ever talked about anything. You don't talk about mental health. You don't talk about all these things. Like, I have a friend from that church, and until she was an adult, she struggled in school and then ended up taking Adderall one day, like in college, because she could not focus, but it actually helped her. It didn't make her more energetic, like typically. So she went to the doctor and she actually had ADHD her whole life and never knew
Wow.
and never told her parents
And yet
that she
there
was on
help for
medication.
her.
Right. So she put herself on medication as an adult, but won't ever tell her parents because in the Russian community,
Yeah, no.
that's what we don't talk about those things.
Well, the church in general.
The
does
church in
not
general,
talk,
right.
God
So,
forbid
right.
that you are, I mean, I'm a pastor and I have been on depression medicine and I, you know, you're looked at different.
Yeah.
But you know what I learned? The Lord in all his wisdom, right?
Yeah.
Has made people doctors so that
Yes.
we can be
Right.
okay.
Right.
You know, that's there for us. I'm not saying the medicine is the answer. He's the answer.
Right.
But he just may use medicine to help you.
Right. Because I honestly didn't know how I was going to get through it, Pastor
Right.
Barb.
I know. I remember.
I have never felt like that in my whole life. It was such a struggle. So, I went to my primary doctor. She put me on Zoloft. It was like the lowest dose to just try. And I felt like I finally could like walk straight. Like I felt like I could get up and like conquer something that day.
Right.
And so that worked through the summer. And I took my FMLA the part of this last year. So from September through November, I had my second chunk of maternity leave. So it was fantastic. I felt like I was in control. I went back on the worship team. I felt like I was getting situated. And then it was like 2 weeks before I had to go back to school and I was losing it.
Oh.
I cried probably every day before I went. I told Ryan, I don't want to go back. How can I leave her? I feel so guilty. I just can't do this. And I knew it was like flaring up again. Like I felt like I was losing control again. And it wasn't like, we have to release control like during a worship set and stuff like that, like let the Holy Spirit move. This wasn't like that. This was like, I feel like I'm spinning, like I'm spiraling out of control. So I went back to the doctor. She upped me again. And I really felt like within a couple of weeks, I was like, okay, this is fine. Like I can manage. So I'm back. So I felt like I finally, by her birthday into January, I finally felt like my old self. And that's a year later from her. And really, truly, the last couple of weeks have been hard at school, but overall I felt the most myself on the team, at school, at home. So I feel like, I'll be honest, like I feel like I'm tweaking again this week, but that's because work has been so crazy.
Right.
But it's like these stressors happening. And I know we have like 15 days left of school. So I'm like waiting for summer to see if maybe I can go off and just kind of see where I'm at. Cause I can control that, a little bit. I don't know. I'm going to go talk to my doctor first.
Right. So it's funny you say that. Pastor Greg and I were having a conversation today, and Pastor Paul, who used to be here, God bless him, him and I used to have conversations, and I'm on thyroid medicine, and I used to take Wellbutrin. And I used to tell him all the time, I don't want to be on this medicine. I'm going to take myself off of the Wellbutrin. And he's like, why that one? Why not the thyroid medicine?
Oh.
Why is it just the one that's for your mental health?
Yeah, that's
because
true,
it's
right?
so taboo. So
I know.
is that
I get caught up in
right?
that.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I had to, when he questioned me, it was an aha moment.
Yeah.
So is
You're making me second guess it.
right? Is that the reason why? I mean, if you literally need it,
Yeah.
then and it's available to you.
Yeah, I guess my thought process is like, if my hormones are back to normal,
Okay.
I didn't need it before.
Right.
Do I still need it now?
Now, is there testing that they can do? Did they do test or they just read
No, it's
you?
based on the questions.
The questions. Okay.
So I don't know. So I guess that's just a question I'll bring up to her.
Right. So
see.
Does it typically go away?
It can go away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Like it doesn't last, well, most people it doesn't last forever.
Gotcha. Okay.
So because a lot of it is hormonally induced. So I guess that's the thing too. Like I'm not uncomfortable to continue to take it, but if I don't actually need it if I'm like in a controlled environment, like in the summer, just to see if I can manage and go back to, like, if I don't know how my hormones are, because I can't test
Right.
that.
Right.
So I guess that's what it is.
Okay.
But I don't have a problem going back on it if it's not the answer either,
Correct. Good.
because I've gotten over
The
that.
stigma of
Because
it.
I'm okay. Like, I feel like myself. Why would I not want to
Absolutely.
feel like that? I have to be the best I can be for my daughter.
Amen.
It's not about me anymore.
And your husband.
Yeah.
And you.
Right. It's not about
Yes.
me. I need to be the
Yes.
best for my daughter, my husband, for the
You.
worship team, for, yeah,
You.
myself. Yeah.
Yes. Don't forget about you.
I know. I always
You.
forget about me.
Yeah. So what kind of support did you find most helpful when you were really struggling? Like, did you have support? Would you accept support?
Yeah. So that's tough because
I know you're a control freak like me.
I'm a control freak. It's weird because I hate when people like, this sounds so horrible. I don't hate it.
I just like it very much.
Yes, I struggle when people ask me like a million times how I'm doing.
Okay.
If it's like once a day or
Once a day?
No, once like every couple days.
Okay.
Like Ryan obviously would ask me,
Oh, yeah.
and that's different. Like that doesn't bother me.
Yes.
But
He can
better
ask you every
he better
second.
ask me.
That's
No,
right. That's
he
right.
better ask. If it's like, it feels like if it's like just overcompensation, like people that wouldn't like talk to me in general, and then all of a sudden because they know something's off, all of a sudden they want to know. It's almost like they want to know because they want the tea, and I'm not about that.
Mm-mm.
Like, if you don't talk to me normally, why do you want to talk to me now? So that was a struggle too, because I don't know, it was just weird.
And that can be twofold though, because if they don't, you are seen.
I know, and that's
you
hard.
are
That was hard
worship,
for me.
right? And you are worship. You're worship. Sorry, you're a worship director at the time.
Yeah.
So when they see how you were and maybe how you are,
Yeah.
it may not have meant what you thought it meant. They may have been really
Right.
concerned.
Well, and those are my thoughts in the
Now.
middle of.
Oh yeah.
But in the middle of that, the last thing I wanted to do was answer anybody's questions because I was
course.
going crazy. I thought I was going crazy.
Yeah.
So I was like, leave me alone. I wanted to
You're
be by myself.
confirming something's wrong.
Yeah, but I didn't want to be alone.
Right.
It's like you want to be alone, but not. But you want to be with people that know
Correct.
you.
Yes.
Because you trust that they're going to pray for you and talk to
Absolutely.
you and ask you the tough questions, but like you're going to be there to catch me.
Yes.
You're not
Yes.
just asking to ask, So
Right.
I
So
think the best support was, besides the medication, was like just the close friends I had
Right.
and have, the
Right.
same ones I have.
Right.
So they went nowhere. Thank God. But those were the best confidants, and just checking in and just making sure I was okay. Because also when you have a baby, everybody wants to know about the baby.
Yes.
Hey, Charlotte. Oh, yeah. Hey, Tami. Sorry. So that also makes you feel like less than. I finally get moms. So sorry, moms out there.
Everything
We see you.
changes.
Yeah, I see you, moms.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
You just birthed a baby. Like, holy
Yeah, I made that.
mackerel.
I made that girl.
Yes, you did.
But hi to her, not me.
Yeah.
It's like,
Forget about you. Just go
Dang.
sing a song.
yeah, just go do what you're,
Let's
do what you're doing.
something else. Let her do her thing. Right? So you're you already said you're doing good now.
Yeah.
You may contemplate
Yeah,
trying
and that's
it.
not, and
with
that's not in
doctor's
stone.
advice?
Yes. I'm actually have
Okay.
an appointment next week. So just like, again, it's just going to be a conversation first. Like, I'm not quickly making moves. I can't roll like that anymore. This is too important. So
Absolutely. Your life is too important.
yeah. So it's just like, if we need another appointment, cool. Like I'm just like rolling,
Yeah.
going with the flow.
Look at you.
I'm trying. I know I would have not said this a year ago.
No, you would not.
I would have been like, I'm making my own decision right now. I already made it yesterday.
Can you talk about the importance of breaking the stigma surrounding postpartum depression, or even mental
Mental
health in general?
Yeah, in church or in general, in both.
Well,
right?
it seems to be really hard in church. Like, you are broken if you
Yeah.
need, God forbid, you need medicine.
Yeah, so I was hesitant on the medicine, and again, I feel like when Pastor Tony told me that I should investigate that, like, look at
Mhm.
that route,
Mhm.
I felt like I had permission to go do that because my pastor said I could do it.
Amen.
But why did I
But why
need
did you need
permission
it?
in the
Yeah.
first place?
Yeah, you didn't.
You know, and because I've heard people say verbatim, you didn't pray hard enough. You didn't lean on God hard enough. What did you do in your life to have
You did.
caused this?
Yes.
You know, I had a baby. So yeah, that caused it. Was that a sin? No, I
Mm-mm.
didn't, so like,
Mm-mm.
so that's like the struggle because then you're trying not to be religious and we still get stuck in the religious mindset because that's how we were raised. And like, it's so hard to break out of that, you know,
Yes. Yes.
and
God is enough, and yes, he is.
he is enough. And he was
But
with me every
thank
day.
you. He will walk you through
Yeah.
the
He
shadow.
walks with you.
He'll walk you through the valley.
Yeah.
We're
Nobody
not
said it
gonna.
was easy to be a Christian.
No. No.
Miracles don't always happen the way you think they're going to
Mm-mm.
happen.
Mm-mm.
And so I had to come to terms with that God was in it with me while I was taking medication. I chose to stop pumping, and that actually also helped me severely
Mm.
because I don't know why, but for me doing that, I felt like I was tied down to something
Mm.
every 3 hours besides my child.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like trapped. And it caused me so much anxiety. Like, oh, I have to be home by this time because I have to pump. Oh, I have to go. I have to do this. Oh, I have to do this. And so I was like, I felt like I was tied down to a machine.
And you were so free
And
before.
yes.
You were.
So we were married for 6 years,
Mhm.
had no kids. I had 2 dogs,
Mhm.
and I lived my life. I went to church when I wanted. I came home when I wanted. Like, my husband did what he wanted. Like he went go out and hang with his friends. We always been like great communication, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't like whatever.
Right.
But we lived our life how we wanted.
Right.
And now you're putting a baby first and it's all about what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
And I love her so much, but I'll tell you what, I also, man, this is like really transparent, but I really struggled when I first had her because I felt so guilty because I didn't know if I could love her more than I loved my life before her.
Mm. But now you know.
And I hate saying that because I felt so guilty thinking that.
That's honest and true, right?
And I think a
That's
lot of
truth.
people feel like that. I don't want to say it because it's how horrible does that sound?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I love you, but oh my gosh.
You're
like
kind of mourning your old.
I did. I mourned my old life.
Yeah.
And nobody talks about the dads, but my husband also mourned his old life.
Mm.
And he also felt guilty because he had to leave me after 2 weeks and go to work. So I'm home struggling with this itty bitty baby who's crying. And I don't know, I felt like I didn't have those mom instincts kicking right away. So I'm like freaking out. My poor mom's coming over to help me. And he's coming home working a 10-hour day and then trying to help me and can't. And he's mourning his old life. So it's like this vicious cycle. And nobody wants to talk about the dads either. Mm-mm. And so it's I feel like both parents can have postpartum depression because even though the dad didn't physically have the baby, your life is completely changed because now you have to figure out how you and your wife are, or who your partner are as a team, and then who you are individually without being a parent, and then being a parent and co-parent with this child. Mm-hmm. And, he struggled because she attached herself to me a lot. So like she won't always run to him right away. And so it's heartbreaking because he feels like he did something wrong when it's just, I spent way more time with her because I was able to take FMLA, so it's like this, nobody talks about that part. Mm-mm. It's like the ugliness of parenthood and nobody wants to talk about that and the guilt you feel. And then there's moms that can stay home, but then they feel guilty because they're a stay-at-home mom. So people don't realize like all the stuff that they do at home. So then it's like, well, the dad works all day. And then it's like this weird, weird thing going on. But then I feel guilty for working, and it's like, you're guilty if you do, you're guilty if you don't. And it's like this crazy society has put so much pressure on us.
And really, you're just adjusting to the new.
Yeah, you're just adjusting. and trying to like make it work, and everybody's circumstance will look different,
Yes.
like even within a family, like my sister's circumstances look way different than mine. They're not wrong, they're not right, they're just ours.
Hmm.
And so like every mom, every dad you see, their circumstance is going to be different, but the same at the same time.
Correct. Correct. Okay. One more question. Um, what advice would you give to new mothers who might be experiencing postpartum depression or any mental?
Yeah. Definitely find your people and talk to them. Don't hide it. I didn't say anything for a long time because I thought it was just me. And so once I started opening up to certain people, like especially at church, and they shared the same feelings, I felt like a release, like I wasn't broken. I was just going through something.
And you got a lot of feedback when you shared.
Yeah, when I shared, yeah. And even before I shared, I found some people that went through the same thing. And now I feel like I can definitely be like somebody that they can come to and like talk to me about. We've had some, even just like moms in church that recently have had babies and they're like, I'm just struggling. But they'll talk to me because they know now like that I understand.
And you connect with a whole
I
different
connect, yeah. And I never
group now.
thought I would be that mom because I just never thought about it. Nobody talks about these things.
Mm-mm.
Everybody talks about, what food you're going to feed them, what $100 formula you're going to feed them, and this and organic that, and what clothing you're going to put in them, and organic diapers,
And
and
make the baby
blah blah
food.
blah. Make the baby food because we all have time for that. And I thought I was going to be that mom. I didn't even make my own whatever beforehand, so why would I make it for her? So now I'm buying jars and I'm like living my best life with Bluey on the background, So it's like. It's like crunchy, scrunchy, silky mom life, everybody life.
Right.
Do you? Don't don't hold yourself to like the society standards. These Facebook groups with moms, they are nasty. I'm sorry. I had to leave most of them because all these moms who are supposed to be here for other moms were putting them down.
No, that's not
And
good.
so I found myself reeling and spinning out reading these comments. And I'm like, wow, but I do what that girl does, like what she posted, and they're all writing that. So they must think that about me too.
Because you knew it.
Because
they
I
didn't know
knew-
it about you,
right.
but you knew it
But
about
I knew
you.
it. I'm like, oh, but I did that. And it wasn't bad because somebody else told me to do that. And it didn't hurt the baby. It helped my baby. And
Right.
why would this be bad? And why is this diaper bad? And why is this like you get so caught up in what everybody else does and wants instead of just doing what you need to do for your baby.
Yeah.
Because every baby is different, every mom is different. Any family situation is different. I'm not going to spend $300 on a box of diapers that a baby's going to poop in. Can I say that
Yeah,
on
you
the
can.
podcast? And throw away.
No, I don't blame you.
But if you have the money to buy the coterie diapers because they're super soft
That's
and
a real
silky and
thing?
organic, oh yeah, I don't know how much they are, but they're
Okay.
like way more expensive than I would pay for.
Okay.
Then go ahead. Like I'm not gonna say
Right.
anything to you, but I'm just not gonna do it.
Correct.
But moms,
And you're no less than because you're not going to.
right. And so that's what I was getting caught up in. Like I'm not the best because I didn't do this. No, I did my best, so I am the best for Charlotte.
And God knit
Yeah.
her together in your womb.
Yes.
So you are the best.
Yeah.
for
He
Charlotte.
created her for me.
He sure did.
And Ryan.
And
Yeah.
that he needed both of you, but he did that.
Yeah.
So
He already knew the daughter I was gonna have.
yes, he knew what diaper you were going to use. He knew
Yeah.
what formula you were going to give her, when you were going to stop
And newsflash,
pumping.
God doesn't care what diaper you put on your kid.
And he also knew that you were going to have postpartum depression. He knew that. And he gave you her
Ooh.
anyway.
Yeah.
So that right there
Yeah.
should show you how he handpicked you are
Yeah.
for her. I mean, that's
powerful.
he's
Yeah.
just amazing.
And the dad too. You know?
Both of you.
So
Both necessary.
But yeah, that's my biggest advice. Like find people that you can talk to. Don't try to pretend it's not happening because I think it'll make it worse.
And
You feel alone.
see a doctor.
See a doctor, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to thank you,
Yeah. Thank
Pastor
you.
Tami, for being so transparent and
Whew.
sharing one of the hardest things that you have gone through thus
Thank
far,
you. Yeah.
with us, with the world, so that other people can understand there's hope for them.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Beyond Blessings. If you feel led, go to our description, click the link, and donate.